So our Quant live session, let me just quickly introduce myself and our co-host today. My name is Shweta Koshija, and I'll be hosting the session today. I'm a Quant subject matter expert at e-GMAT, and we will be supported by Atreya Roy here. So all of the questions that I might not be able to answer because of being the primary host, Atreya will help us in all of those questions. So right below the presentation screen, you see the Q&A pod. This is where you can ask your questions from Atreya. On the right hand side of the presentation screen is a poll. This is where you will mark your answers. Nowhere else, nowhere are you going to write them, nothing in the comments, nothing in the Q&A pod, only on the poll. Every single question, before I show you the question, I will ask you to mark still solving in the poll, which tells me that you're ready for the next question. So only the people who mark still solving will I consider active participants in the session today, and you are the people who will determine the pace of the session. The moment 70 to 80% of the people who mark still solving give me their answers, I'll start discussing the solutions. Right below that is the chat pod where you see answer Shweta's question. So this is where you and I are going to talk. I will pose certain questions to you during the session. So this is where it's for you and me. Otherwise, I'll be delivering the session and you will be the receivers. And yes, other questions that I might not be able to answer yet again in the Q&A pod. All right, so here is the purpose of this session. We want you to understand that the key to acing GMAT Quant is not knowing tons and tons and tons of questions. It's not just that. First of all, you have to be super comfortable with your basics. Your understanding there has to be very sound. And then the way you solve your questions, the approach you take should be a structured approach, not shortcuts. Shortcuts do not always work. You want something that will always work, and which is what we'll stress on throughout the session. Once you build both of these, GMAT Quant will be nice and easy for you. Now, here is the progression of the session. So, listen to this very carefully. We're going to have 4 questions in the beginning, warm up questions. These are just to warm ourselves up. The solutions of these warm up questions will be our way of revising concepts that you might have forgotten, or maybe you did a very long back, or you never did them. So, this is where you're going to get the concepts, the conceptual base on which the rest of the session is going to be based. Sprint 1 is going to be 3 questions, as you see, a slightly higher level of difficulty. Warm up was super simple, 500 to 600. Sprint 1 and Sprint 2 are both between 650 to 700 levels. So this is where you're going to apply everything that you learn here in the warm up section. And finally, Sprint 3 will be where we will challenge you with 700 plus level questions, 2 of them. So the journey here, as you see, it's progressively going to get difficult, but whatever you learn at one stage is all that you will need at the next stage. So if you're careful right from the beginning, it is going to be a smooth journey for you. Now here we are going to begin with the warm-up section, as I said, which is basic questions on quadrilaterals. This way you will be able to understand what are the concepts that you had forgotten, or what is it that you need to brush up on. We are going to discuss the solutions, of course, and this is how you're going to revise your concepts. So the instructions are here. You have 5 questions, 500 to 600 level. Every single question we will solve after you attempt it, and the session driven at your pace. As I said, still solving is what's going to tell me that you're ready for it. So get ready with your pen and paper and mark still solving in this very first question. The poll is now open. Let's bring up the numbers faster. 40 people have said they're ready, and we have above 110 people right now. We should have at least 70% of the people actively participating in the session. Let's bring up the numbers, people. All right, that's good. So here's warm-up question number 1. Good luck. Seconds before I end the poll. Please make sure you mark your answers and do not just stay in the still solving block. Skipping or missing questions on the GMAT is more heavily penalized than getting them wrong. You don't want that. Mark it. All right. So here I'll end the poll and show you how you people have responded to this. So as we see, 66% of you marked option E, which is the correct answer. So well done there. But you have 34% of us here who did not get this right. Although the majority of that 34 stayed in the still solving block. Remember, try that this does not happen from the questions that follow. You want to give in and finally, even if you're not done with the solution completely, make an educated guess. This is something you need to be trained on for the actual exam as well. The other options A through D got very few votes. So I understand that most of the people who marked the answers were sure of their answers. Let's discuss this and get everybody on the same page. So let's read this question. Every single question that you attempt, take it part by part. Do not get intimidated by it. This one is an easy question. I know this cannot intimidate you. But even when it gets tougher or it seems tougher later on, take it piece by piece. Read every bit, try to translate that English to math, and then solve it. So, here what do we have? For a rectangle whose two adjacent sides in inches are consecutive integers between 1 and 4, something happens. So there is some rectangle about which we have some information. What's the information? The information is about its adjacent sides, that those sides are consecutive integers. I did not read further, but I have an idea what it is. So you should also glance what it is after that. Perimeter P, area A, what is true, and then there's some relationships about A and B. So you need to compare the two. But even then, when you start working, you will start with the information you got first. So here, what does this mean? Consecutive integers would mean one integer after another, 1, 2, or 6, 7, or 25, 26, whatever. But these two have to be between 1 and 4. What does that mean? Now, between 1 and 4 leaves us only with this possibility that those integers are 2 and 3. Now, if you're thinking, why not 1, 2, or 3, 4 as well? It is because we said between without using the word inclusive in this. If we wanted to include these two, we would add the word inclusive. Otherwise, these endpoints are not included. So here we know that the adjacent sides are 2 and 3, and that's how we get all four sides because opposite sides are just equal. Now come to the perimeter and the area. Let's find them down. Perimeter is what? Perimeter means the length of the total boundary of your rectangle. So if I see the total boundary, I can see I have 2, 3, 2, 3. So 2 plus 3, 2 plus 3. Take them together. You have them twice, right? So it just becomes 2 times 2 plus 3. The calculation is not important, but this here gives you the formula for perimeter. It is 2 times length plus width. Now it does not matter which one I call the length and which one the width. There is a misconception people have that length is always the longer one and width is the shorter one. That is not true. Any of these could be seen any way. So here 3 is my length and 2 is my width if I say that. And if I put this in the formula, it will be 3 plus 2. Whether I put 2 plus 3, my perimeter is going to be the same. Now, let's talk about the other thing, which is area. The area of a rectangle is the product of its length and width. So 2 times 3 is 6. And now the comparison that you wanted to do, you can clearly see perimeter is greater than area or area is less than the perimeter. And the correct answer is A. I hope all of those people who could not mark their answers here, who had any bit of confusion, are now absolutely clear with this. Now make a note of what exactly you missed in this question. Every single person should have a list of takeaways from today, a list of points that you did not know or that you were not applying properly. That will be a powerful list for you. It will be your improvement tool. Without learning from mistakes, we can't improve. Now let's move on to warm up question number 2. You know the drill. You'll mark still solving to tell me you're ready, and then we'll see the next question. I can see three people have marked option E. Please mark the one after that, which is still solving. That just means we're ready for the question. You can't know the answer is E, right? Thank you. That was quickly changed. I can see half of the population here is active. The other half just wants to see solutions. Then you can't determine the pace of the session. Let me just warn you right here. Okay, good. That's a nice increase in numbers. Here's warm up number 2, everyone. Good luck. Ten seconds before I end the poll. Please mark your answers this time. Here are the responses we got. The majority went with E. It's almost the same that we had in the previous question. 67% of you marked E. And yes, E is the correct answer. Yet again, 20% of the people did not mark the answer at all. The remaining 13% was scattered here between A through D. So again, let's talk and discuss this properly so that the remaining 33% are absolutely comfortable. Now, every single question, you would see how it is related to the very next one. I told you how we find the perimeter and area of rectangles, and now we're going to use that further. But instead of having one rectangle this time, you have two, A and B. And we are given that they have the same perimeter. Now, remember how I said work with every piece of the question one by one? But here I don't really have much to do here in the first sentence that they have the same perimeter. I mean, this is something I could just note, but not something I can start solving with. Now, what next? We have rectangle A, which is 10 meters long and has an area of 250 square meters. So this gives me just the length and the area. Now, since I know area is the product of length and width, I can very well find the width, right? So let me do that much and find out more about width. Why do I want to, by the way? Because perimeter requires width. So this is my first piece of information that can take me closer to what I want. So here, as I said, the product of 10 and the width, which I'm just calling W for now, is 250. When I solve it, I get my width equal to 25. And now I have enough information to find the perimeter of my rectangle using the formula we just learned. Now that I know both of them have the same perimeters, I know that rectangle B will also have 70 meters as its perimeter. But by now, right now, I have no information about B at all. When I read on though, I find out that the width is 7. Oh, nice. And I want to find the area. Now, if I have the width and I want the area, I need the length, right? But the connection I have is only the perimeter. So for now, let me just call this length L. In that case, the perimeter is going to be this much, 2 times length plus width, which is equal to 70. Solving this simple equation, I get the length of rectangle B as well. Now that I have both length and width, just multiply them to get the area. And that is all we needed to do. The correct answer is option E. I am bringing in the yes/no poll here. Please mark yes if you're absolutely clear with this solution. That's beautiful. 100% looks very, very nice. Again, for the 33% who got this wrong, make sure you note what exactly went wrong here. Okay, keep learning from your mistakes. I am going to take you to warm up question number 3 the moment I have enough still solving both. All right, then. Here's question 3, everyone. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Please mark your answers. All right, here we go. The answer this time is C, and yes, the majority got this correct again, but it's a smaller majority than we had for the previous questions. We've never crossed the 60s, by the way, in the warm-up questions. Let's discuss this and get the remaining 39% on board, and even for the 61 who got this correct, make sure you got this correct for the right reasons. So listen to the solution carefully. In the given figure, AE and BF are perpendicular to CD. So AE is drawn here, BF again, I do not have the line here, I will correct this, but BF is also perpendicular to CD. And the area of ABEF, the rectangle that you get as a result, is 64. And then more information comes in. Let's try to understand this much first. So right now I can see that this is 8 and this is 12, but that is not what I should rely on. When I read further into the question, I know that AB is 8 and CD is 12. What do I mean by not relying on it is people might get confused which one is 12. Is it the whole of CD, or is it EC, or is it EF? What? That is why the question always specifies that this length that is shown is for which line segment. Now here that I have these two, and then my final question is to find the area of the entire trapezoid. Now you need to understand what a trapezoid is. You need to know what it is. Till now we saw only rectangles, right? A rectangle is when opposite sides are both parallel, they're equal, and it's perpendicular. Every one side is perpendicular to the one next to it. Now here, as I said, I will first use the information I have, which is that the area of my rectangle is 64. Now what that means is area of a rectangle is length times width. So I call that AB times AE, and that's 64. Since I know AB, I can get AE as well. So that gives me 8 as this. Now this 8 is nothing but the height of the trapezoid. It's the height, right? What is the height of a trapezoid? It is the perpendicular distance between the two parallel sides. In a trapezoid, only one pair of opposite sides is parallel. And when you join them with a perpendicular line segment, the length of that is the height. Now, why I need that is to find the area of the trapezoid. The formula for this, for all those of you who did not know this, note this down, is here. Area of a trapezoid is half multiplied by sum of the parallel sides times height. Now the parallel sides are AB and CD, so their sum is 20, and the height is AE. Just put in all the values and you get 80, which is option C as your answer. Yet again, I'm going to bring in the yes no poll. Quickly mark yes to tell me you understood this. Wonderful. That's great. All right, let us move on now. You are going to mark still solving again, and I'll take you to the next question. The poll is open. Let's bring up the numbers faster, everyone. I would like some more interaction there. This is the one way you show me you're participating in the session actively. Thank you. Thank you for the response. Here's warm up question number 4. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. All right, here are the results. 71% people marked D, and that is correct. So good job. This time the accuracy is much better. Let's discuss this. What do we have? We have the area of a square ABCD is 81 square units. Okay, so I have some information about a square, which is nothing but a special rectangle. It's one in which the length and the width are equal. So let me just start working with that right away. So if I have a square whose area is 81, then the side of that square is 9. So here this big square that you see outside, A, B, C, D, the side I've written 9 for this. And the difference between the perimeters of square ABCD and a smaller square PQRS is 12. So there was square ABCD and there was another one, a smaller one, PQRS. Now that could have been drawn here outside also, but I've just drawn it here inside with some side S. I don't know the side of this square. This is how you visualize the problem. Now, you could have drawn it separately again, as I said, but without drawing it out, you don't get the feel of it much. And geometry is best done once you draw figures for it. Now, what do I want again? What do I have? I know that the difference between the perimeters is 12. And difference really means what? The big perimeter minus the small perimeter. So how much is the big perimeter? It is 9 times 4, since you have all of them as 9s. And the smaller square will have a perimeter of 4s. The difference between these is 12, which is given to me. I solve this simple equation and I get s equal to 6. The question was to find the area of the smaller square. So the moment I have the side 6, then the area is just length times width. In fact, this time it's side times side, or s squared. That gives you 36, and that's it. The area of the smaller square is 36. I am opening the poll now. Please mark still solving, and let's go to warm up number 5. Oh, I'm sorry though. Hold on. We have 4 warm-up questions, as I said in the progression in the beginning. The mistake was in the instruction slides where I said it's 5. So 4 warm-up questions. We're done with all 4. So well done here. I am sure that you learned a lot about the concepts that you did not know earlier or things that you were not thinking correctly about. I'm opening the chat box now. This is time for us to talk. Tell me how you feel after having done these questions. Do you feel more ready to take on GMAT style questions? And what was your biggest takeaway from the warm up section? Okay, you feel more confident. That is good. Questions were basic. Of course, these are warm up questions. Questions were easy. They must be less than, yes, as I said, they're 500 to 600 level. You feel refreshed. Nice. Got all 4 correct. Good. That's absolutely important as you see here. There should be 200% clarity in this. Confident, however, I need to be focused. I'm glad you realized this very early. Always try to draw geometry problems. Yes, always do. Okay, I like how everybody feels super ready to go on. Clear with the concepts, gotta pick up speed. Yeah, speed, you will be able to build as your ability in these gets stronger. We usually are slow with things that we don't know very well. So as you keep learning this more and more, you would have fun. Thanks for this. I thought I would get bored, but did you? Yeah, well, all that you learned here, we're going to use it, as I said. Here is the beginning of sprint 1. Now I'm going to use the still solving that you've already marked. I am going to show you the first question, everyone. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, here you go. We see that 61% of you marked option B, which is the correct answer. So good job. Again, majority is correct. Let's discuss this and get the remaining 39% on board. So read this nice and slow. Square ABCD of side 15 units and a trapezoid PQRS have the same area. So I have some information here to work with. I know the side of the square, because of which I can find out the area of the square, right? And the moment I find the area of the square, I will have the area of the trapezoid as well. So let me just get started with that. Here is my square, 15 and 15, and here is the trapezoid. Now, I don't have the rest of the information yet, remember. But I know that if the area of the square is 225, then so is the area of the trapezoid. It's also going to be 225. Now, when you read on, you'll find out how the trapezoid is structured. So every little fragment of the question that you read will give some more information about the trapezoid here. So it tells you that PQ is parallel to RS. So you got the one pair of parallel sides that there had to be. You also got their lengths, PQ and RS. The question is to find the height. So the height is what again? The perpendicular distance between your parallel sides. So I'm just calling that PE here. So I want to find out PE. Now you know the area of a trapezoid is calculated by a formula that uses its height. So I use the same formula, but the thing is I know the area this time. That's how. The only unknown thing here is the height, and I'll be able to find it. So when I write down half multiplied by the sum of parallel sides, 45, multiplied by the height, I use these two pieces of information together to say that all of this here is equal to 225. Solve this simple equation and you have PE equal to 10, which is option B. That is it. Now here you saw how what we learned from the warm-up question came together here. So more than one warm-up questions was used on this. You had something from a square, something from a trapezoid, area of trapezoid, area of a square. All of that is coming here together in one question. This is how the difficulty level of questions will go up. It's not that they start testing us on new concepts altogether. The concepts are never new. It's just that the application becomes more sophisticated. You have to be absolutely clear with your concepts, and then application will be a breeze. Now, please mark still solving, and let's go to the next question. Looking forward to your accuracy there. Okay, here you go, everyone. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, here are the results. As you all see, the majority went with B, 67%, and that is correct. And very, very few votes for the other four options. The majority, the people who did not get this wrong, did not get this right. Many of them stayed in the still solving block. So I'm happy with the accuracy here. Let's discuss this quickly because it shows we're not very confused this time. We're applying things well. So AEBF are perpendicular to CD, as you see here, and the area of trapezoid, this trapezoid ABCD, is 32. Now you know the formula for that. You know it will include AB, it will include CD, and it will include the height AE. Now they're also telling you the exact lengths of AB and FC, this little part here, and that the midpoint of EF, okay, is equal to the midpoint of CD. Now that looks like a lot of information. So let me just start using as much as I can from this. Here now, first of all, the figure is incomplete unless I have the midpoint in place. So I'll just put that first. This M, I'm calling that to be the midpoint. So this is not only the midpoint of EF, but also of CD. Remember that. And the goal is to find the area of the rectangle that you see inside, for which you need both the length and the width. And you already have 6. That means if only I could find AE or BF, which are going to be the same, I will have the area, right? So you need to find out AE. Now, area of the trapezoid, we are applying the formula here, half times sum of parallel sides times the height is 32. Now, put in all that you know here. All you know right now is AB is 6, right? That's all you know. And that the area, of course, is 32. The rest of it, CD or AE, I have no idea about them yet. But I still haven't used everything that I have in the question. I haven't used the midpoint aspect. So listen carefully. First of all, since ABEF is a rectangle and AB is 6, EF has to be 6 as well. Opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. And then since M is the midpoint, MF or EM, both of them are equal to 3 centimeters. Now, the moment you get MF as 3, you already know FC is 2. The whole of this thing, MC, therefore, becomes 5. And now, since M is the midpoint of CD, the whole of CD becomes 10. So you got CD also, which was the one thing that you did not have earlier. So put this value of CD in this equation on top, and then the only unknown you have is AE, which can be easily solved for. That is 4 centimeters. Now AE, do not leave your answer with this. You might have an option that would say 4 centimeters. We like tricking people into this. GMAT loves that. Here, remember, you want to find out 6 times AE, the area of the rectangle. So the final answer is 24 centimeters squared, which is B. I think next time I would include a 4 centimeters squared here. Let's see how many people get tricked into this. I hope all of you understood this solution. We're just applying things that we learned in more fancy ways than we had earlier. This is a little higher in level compared to the first question you had. But I'm very happy to see the wonderful accuracy here. Let's move on to the next question, everyone. Please mark still solving, and I'll show you the next one. Here you go. Good luck. 10 seconds before I end the poll. Okay, here are the results. So this time we have a majority with option C, but it's a much smaller majority. We have a nice chunk of people thinking that it is E. So before I tell you what it exactly is this time, I'll leave the results broadcast here and we will discuss the solution. Let's see how you feel or whether or not you feel which group here is wrong. So sprint 1, question 3, rectangle PQRS is placed inside square ABCD. Okay, such that PQ is parallel to AB. So this gives me the idea of how it's going to look, but not about the relative sizes of the two, how big the square is or how small the rectangle is, and so on. Vertices P and S, the vertices of the rectangle, are 1 unit away from each of the two nearest sides. Okay, now this could get too much unless I have something going on. So look at this figure as I explain this. I've just put rectangle PQRS inside the square for now. Now, P and S are 1 unit away from each of the two nearest sides. That means, which are the two nearest sides for P? It's AB and AD. So it's 1 unit away from each of these. That means this gap is 1 on the left of P, and this gap above P is also 1. And same goes for Q. I'm sorry, P and S, right? Okay, so the same goes for S. This is also 1 on the left of S, and this is also 1, which is below S, since it's from each of the two nearest sides. And you want to find out the area of PQRS. Now remember here, the only information we got was about P and S. We got no information about the placement of Q and R. See how that's important or not important in helping us answer and find out the area of PQRS. Now you know the side of square ABCD is 15, so we put that here. Now, what do you need for area of PQRS? You need both, right? The length and the width. So I'm just calling the length L and I'm calling the width W. So I need both of them to get the product, or somehow if I could get the product only. Now look very carefully here. If I look at PS, this side of it, then I know this entire side is 1 unit away from AD. If I try to find out the length of PS. Can I find the length? Yes. How? Because PS had 1 unit above it and 1 unit below it. And if I add this 1 and 1 to it, I would become equal to AD. Another way of thinking could be that from this 15, which is my BC, how do I get to W? I need to remove 1 from the top and remove 1 from here. So it's really 13 then, which is the width. So PS is equal to 13. I got the width. Okay, I am making progress. I also want the length, by the way. Let's see if we can find that out. So area right now is 13 times L, where L is the length. Now look closely. Can I find out L? I cannot. Why? Because CD is 15. Yes, I know I have to subtract this 1 where you see my arrow right now, which is the gap between S and AD. But how would you know the gap here between R and BC? Unless you know the exact distance between these two, what would you subtract from 15? There's no way you're going to get the length of this rectangle. And without the length, you cannot find the area. So this time, the majority got this wrong. Only 25% of the people here got this correct. So very well done. All those of you who did not get this correct, I hope you understood the mistake that you had made. You most likely assumed that this side also was going to be 1 and 1. You could say so for above Q and below R, but nothing about this thing on the right of these two. There's no way we can find that length out. Tell me all Okay, I see around 75% people are comfortable with this, while 25% are not. For those who marked no by accident, please change your answers to yes right now. Tell me what your confusion is in the chat box. I'm opening it up for some discussion. It says AB is parallel to PQ. Of course, we can see that it's parallel here. Didn't pay attention to QR. So please, those people who said no, they still did not understand the explanation. Write down what you didn't understand. BC minus 1 minus 1. No, you have to subtract it twice because there's one here above Q and one here below R. You have to take both of them, right? PS is 13. PQ and QR are also 13. Not at all. If PS is 13, there's no way you can predict PQ and RS. If we don't place rectangle at the center, how come QR is equal to, I'm not placing it at the center. It just looks at as it does. This one here, this AB, could be way longer than what you see right now because I have no idea about the gap between Q and BC. No idea. They're 1 unit away from each of the two nearest sides. Who's they? P and S. Doesn't that mean S is 1 unit away from AD and DC? Of course, that's true. We have used it. The one below S is 1, and that is what I subtracted from this 15 here. Okay, I'm clear now. I would like to change to yes. Okay, I'll count that as a yes. Can the distance from R to BC be 0? Yes, it can be. You have no idea. Why can't we say side is 13? You can't just conclude that because it doesn't say it's a square, it's a rectangle. Okay? Makes sense now. Assumed that it is a square. Okay, now here I'm glad you said that. Assumption is a big killer on the GMAT. Do not assume stuff. Do not assume at all. Knew the information was insufficient, but thought I am missing something. Well, there I could say, trust yourself. Okay. Yeah, as I said, we're not placing it in the center. We're just placing PQRS inside ABCD. The difficulty level is 650 to 700 level. This is for all sprint 1 and sprint 2 questions. Okay, I tried to answer as many as I could. Now I'm opening the poll. Please mark still solving and let's go to question number 4. Take the learnings from this one with you in the next question. Be careful. So what we're going to have right now is the next sprint. Okay. Meanwhile, mark still solving to tell me you're ready. Before I show you the next question though, I'd like to talk to you about something important. As you see here, the accuracy for very different questions has been different here. We had a 25% accuracy on one question and 60 to 70% on the others. So while there are some people who were absolutely confident about the questions we did, there were many who were not, right? So we're all on different paths to the destination. All of us want to be successful on the GMAT, yes, but we're starting at different places. So you need your own plan, a personalized study plan where you should have milestones to achieve. You should have exact estimates. Where do you stand and where do you want to go? You should be able to track where you are or whether you're making or not making improvements. So what we have here for you is the chance to book a call with an e-GMAT strategy expert. Now, when you click on the link that you just got, you will have this option where you can choose the tile that matches your problem area. So what we've highlighted right now here is somebody who faces timing issues. You'll just mark this. Say there's somebody who needs a foundation, does not know concepts. Just choose this. Somebody failed in verbal. So choose it according to where you are. After that, you'll just click here, which says help me reach my target score, and then choose a convenient slot when you want to talk. And here then fill out some information about yourself, your target score, and so on. This will give us information about you before we talk to you actually. So we'll be better prepared to help you. Now, if you're already an e-GMAT student, you should have your personalized study plan. You should know exactly what to do when. You should understand your study plan, not just having it. You should know what it is. You need to understand how our entire learning architecture is based on the three stages of learning principle. Follow each stage, and success is going to be yours. Now, where do we explain all of this? We explain this in onboarding sessions that happen twice a week. This is where we onboard new students. We tell them about the product. And then this is where you get ready for success. Okay, now done about the personalized study plan. Let me talk about sprint 2. So I see you have marked still solving. Here's your first question. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, here we go. The accuracy this time is 53%. Yes, D is correct, but this is a low accuracy compared to what we had earlier. 47% of you got this wrong, with 24% just never marking an answer. The next option that got the most number of votes was E with 12%. So I would say it was really between D and E, but D clearly was a big majority. Let's discuss this. If the length of a rectangle is increased by 80% and its width is decreased by 50%, it becomes a square of a certain area. Now, this is the first question. We're seeing percentages in action. So, this probably could be the reason of the low accuracy that we have here. So, understand this carefully right now because you are going to see more questions of this. So, what is happening is you have a rectangle and you have a square. Now suppose the length of the rectangle is x and the width is y. Now what's happening is after you do certain changes to the length and the width, you get a square whose area is 324. Now what's the area of a square? It's side times side. So when you solve that, side comes out to be 18. Now this could take a lot of time for people who do not remember these. I would suggest you memorize squares of numbers, integers, from 1 through 20 or 30 if you can. That is going to really increase your pace when you do such questions. You don't need to go beyond that. So that way, once I know that the square I get after altering my rectangle is something with side 18, I have slightly more information. Now let me use the percentage bit, which I haven't yet used. So really what is happening is when x is increased by 80%, then it becomes 18. And when y is decreased by 50%, then it becomes 18. So let me write about that one by one. Say I focus on the x. What does it mean to increase x by 80%? It means you have x plus 80% of x. 80% in itself is nothing that you increase something by because 80% means 80 over 100 or 0.8. You're not just saying that my x becomes x plus 0.8. No, 80% of the initial value is what it means to increase by a percentage. Now, when you solve that and you put that equal to 18, you get the value of x. So this is the length of your rectangle. Similarly, I work with y, I decrease it by 50%. This time what it means is you start with y and you subtract 50% of y from it. Remember again, 50% of y. This gives you 18. Solve it, get y equal to 36. There I got both the things for the rectangle and ultimately I wanted the perimeter, and you know the formula. It's just 2 times length plus width. Put in the values and 92, which is option D, is your answer. So I think it was the percentage bit. Let me just bring in the yes no poll. Mark yes if it was the percentage confusion for you. For all those who could not solve it, tell me in the chat box if it was not this. What was it that confused you in this question? Why did 46% of us not get the answer? Write down where you faltered in the chat box. Read the question. Okay. You know what? Not reading the question happens even after we're done with the entire preparation. This is one of those careless mistakes that just puts to waste all the effort that we might have put in solving that question. Try not to make careless errors, and everybody, has a different kind of careless errors they make. I'm very happy you didn't just say, oh, I made a silly mistake. You actually said what you missed. Make note of that and try not to do that. Made my calculations more complex without knowing 18 times 18. Yeah, so the square and the square, many people had the square problem. I didn't read the word square. Wow. Read very carefully. So it's a learning you have still quite early in the session. Be careful. This is just investment when you read a question. Tried to visualize instead of thinking in percentages. couldn't visualize? Visualization is when I just draw the rectangle and the square, you know. The rest of it is when you use the data in the question to solve it. Okay, made an equation and tried to solve it, got stuck with xy equal to 30. Xy equal to 30 really gave you the 360, I'm sorry, gave you the area of the rectangle, which is correct though. That means you had not made any mistakes till there. You just had to go on. Okay, why couldn't we arrive at the answer by 1.8x multiplied by 0.5x? Of course you could have. You very well could have. Because you're increasing the length and the width. Hurry in reading the question. Okay, okay. I think all of us learned a lesson here. Many of us were those who did not read properly or made some sort of careless error. Be more careful as you go into the next question. Please mark still solving. Okay, here you go, everyone. Good luck. Ten seconds before I end the poll. All right, here are the results. 48% of you went with C, which is the correct answer, but it's now a smaller majority than ever. You have less than half of the people who marked this correctly, and the other half got this wrong. So let's take this nice and slow. Area of square ABCD is equal to the area of rectangle PQRS. Okay, so we have two kinds of quadrilaterals, a square and a rectangle, and their areas are equal. No numbers for me to work on yet. If the length of PQRS is 69% more than its width, so whose width again? For PQRS only. Find the ratio of perimeters of this and that, of the square and the rectangle. But before that, again, I will not just worry about what I need to find unless I use the information I have. And what is the information I have? That the length of PQRS is 69% more than the width. See how I'm going to use that. Now, this is PQRS, okay? So the width is X. The length is 69% more than X, which means X plus 69% of X. You solve that and you get 1.69X. So this way I have both the length and the width of this rectangle in terms of X. Now, square ABCD, I have no idea about the dimensions. I'm just calling the side to be Y, right? Now I know that the areas are equal. So what's the area of a square? Y squared. What's the area of this rectangle? Length times width. Now these are equal. So y squared is this much. Yet again, you knowing that 13 squared is equal to 169 will help you in getting this faster. That 1.3 squared is 1.69. So y is equal to this. Now this way both of these are now in terms of x because I got y also, right? Now remember ratio of the perimeters, I've just replaced y by the information I just got. The perimeter of the square is going to be 2 times length plus width, or I can say 4 times the side, and the perimeter of the rectangle is here. Now, the reason I'm writing it this way is since I anyway want to find out the ratio, so I thought I'll keep 2 and 2 out instead of taking them in first and then taking them out common. When I find out the ratios, the 2 and the 2 get cancelled out first. And what I have as a result is 2.6 upon 2.69 because the x's also get cancelled. And then this is 260 over 269, which is option C. That is it. Now this time, because the accuracy was low, I want to understand in the chat box. And this question is only for people who did make a mistake. Everybody who got this right, very well done. Silly calculation mistake. Oh, got stuck everywhere setting up the algebra. So basically then translation is a skill that you need to work on. You need to be able to translate all the English to math. Some more time was required. Okay, then you could have done it in that case, then I'm good. But even then in the exam, we need to be able to solve this in under 2 minutes. How do you calculate AB? I'm not calculating AB. I just got AB, which was my y, in terms of x as 1.3x. How do we find the square root of 1.69? As I said, if you memorize the squares of integers from 1 through 30, you would see that 13 squared is 169. So 1.69 will be the square of 1.3. Got busy multiplying when it wasn't needed. Yeah. So save all of that extra math for the end. Just set up the thing and then see where it's required. Okay. Are we allowed calculators? No, no, no calculators on the GMAT at all. That is why I'm suggesting you to memorize this. Got the answer 1 second after you close the poll. Okay, I'm going to count your answer in the correct ones. Too many unwanted calculations. Yes. So it's a suggestion. Don't start calculating from the get-go. Take things slowly and see how you can simplify them. If your calculation is in fact making your job difficult, then don't do it. Simplify them, cancel things out, make them smaller. The level of the question, as I said, for both the sprints is 650 to 700 level. Okay then, thank you for the responses. I'm going to take you to sprint 2, question number 3 now. Please mark still solving. Let's bring up the number again as the session is progressing. We cannot lose our energy. Get more and more focused now that we're getting into difficult questions. It requires more focus than you put in earlier. Okay, thank you. Here's question number 3. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. All right, here we go. Very nice accuracy this time. 71% of you got this correct. It is D. Let's discuss this. That means you are translating things well. This one was not covered already in a question. A border of uniform width n is placed around a square photograph. So you have a square and then there's a border around it and the width throughout is n. So hard to see this way. Just visualize it. Here's the photograph, side of S, suppose, and then the width is n. That means it's n on the right, n on the left, n above, and n below. That way, I can write down the dimensions of the new big square that I get outside, which is really nothing but the picture plus the frame, right? Plus the border. So let me think about AB first. So it's this S plus n on the right plus n on the left. That makes it S plus 2n. Same thing for for this side of it, AD. You have S here, n above it, n below it makes it S plus 2n. So that's again another square. You want to find out the area of the border. So area of the border is just this blue region. You want to find out the area of the blue part. How are you going to do that? Of course, subtract the area of the small square from the area of the big square. You will get whatever is in the border. Now for the big square, it's s plus 2n whole squared, and for the small one, it's s squared. So you just need to subtract that. Now here I'm going to use an algebraic identity, a squared minus b squared, which is a plus b times a minus b. So when you express it like that and you simplify it, you get 2n times 2s plus 2n. But when you match it in the options, you don't see it anywhere. You don't directly see this. That means there's some more level of simplification that we need to do here, right? So you can take 2 common from this factor inside, and that will give you 4n times s plus n, which matches with option D. So perfect. This is done. Now, this was the end of sprint 2. Before I move on, everyone, tell me in the chat box, how do you feel about this and what are your biggest takeaways from the 2 sprints that we did? You applied the concepts that you had learned before this. How do you feel about this? We're going to go into 700 level questions after this. You have to be absolutely comfortable with all that happened till now. Charged up. Nice. Depressed? Why? Don't be. Relax. Use everything you've learned. Be confident. Read the question completely. That's a very important takeaway. Too easy. Wow, I'm really looking forward to the score you get. I'm very hopeful of a very high score. How did you get 2n times 2s plus 2n? Oh, I just simplified this. This one I could cancel out the s, and this one I could just add the 2s's. Discovered often take unstated assumptions. Yes, that's as I said, a big no on the GMAT. Assumption really, really kills. Simple questions so far. Good. That means your accuracy, your ability in this is good. Whoever said it's too easy, I'll pay you to tutor me. Well, we are already tutoring you. Let me say it's easy. Confident, got all correct till now. Very good. I need to practice a lot. That's good. I mean, practice is required. The session recording that you're going to get today, watch that nicely. Solve these questions again, and then watch the videos we had sent your way before the session. Okay, so we have some mixed responses as you saw. Some people found this very easy, some people are scared of this. Let's all go together into sprint 3. Everybody trust yourself. It is going to happen. We're going to use all that we learned till now. Please mark still solving. I need more heavy participation this time because these questions you might take longer than, of course, all that you took till now. And so I want each of you to have a share in deciding the time that I give you for solving this. If you don't mark still solving, then only the people who mark still solving get to decide the pace. Okay, I see people marking C, D, E, nothing please, only still solving, which is the last option. Okay, great. Here's question number 1, your first challenge. Good luck. Ending the poll in 15 seconds. All right, let's start with the results. We have 33% votes for B. So it is a majority, but a very small one. So one third of you marked B, and B is the correct answer. But this is not a very sure vote. 67% of us went with other options. The next closest choice was C with 16% votes, and E with 11, and A and D were very, very close. They were on a tie. Let's discuss this. There's a lot of confusion here. Take this nice and slow. This could also happen because this is a data sufficiency question. So listen very carefully to every step. A border of uniform width, by the way, this is what comes from the question you saw in the previous sprint about borders. Everything builds up. Everything that you learned previously is now going to come to help. A border of uniform width x is placed around a rectangle A to create a bigger rectangle B. So you have rectangle A inside, you put the border and you get rectangle B. The difference between their perimeters is 32. What is the area of B? And then you have two statements. But before anything, we need to analyze the question statement first. This is how you approach any data sufficiency question. So what do you learn from the question stem? First of all, visualize it this way, much easier to understand. Suppose this smaller rectangle that I have, rectangle A, has length and width as L and W. And then since your border has a uniform width of x, it's x on the right, x on the left, x above this, and x below this. So just how you worked in the previous question, to go from L to L plus 2x, that will be PQ. Similarly, if this is W, then PS is W plus 2x. This is one x above it, one x below it. This gives me the dimensions of both the rectangles in terms of L, W, and x. Now I'll use the first piece of information I have. Second piece, I've already used the border, which is that the difference between the perimeters is equal to 32. Now what is difference between perimeters? It's the big perimeter minus the small one. So the perimeter of the big one is 2 times length plus width. Well, the formula is always going to be this. So the big one, your length is L plus 2x, width is W plus 2x. And for the smaller one, your length is L and your width is W. So just put them in place like this. Simplify this equation here, and all of your L and W is going to get cancelled. So you get 32 is equal to 8x, and that gives you the value of x. So the question stem alone is sufficient to tell you exactly how the border looks. The border is 4 units wide on all sides of the smaller rectangle. Now remember, your question was to find area of the big rectangle. Bigger rectangle B is what I've named PQRS here. So I need the area for that. And what's the area? It's just the product of length times width, right? So L plus 2x multiplied by W plus 2x. Now how much is that? If I write it this way, since I know x is 4 now, it's really L plus 8 and W plus 8. This is the product I want. Now I could multiply these two inside and write it this way. LW plus 8L plus 8W plus 64. Now whether I get in this last form or this second last form, this is what I need to find out. So I'll keep an eye out for whenever I get this expression done. Now let's talk about statement 1. The area of the border is 72. We have done a similar question to this. What is the area of border? It is the big area minus the small area. You want to find out the blue region here. So area of the big the big rectangle is going to be L plus 8 multiplied by W plus 8, which is in fact what you want to find out, minus the area of the small one, which is LW. Now when you simplify this, LW and LW, they just cancel out. And all you're left with is this much. So this is equal to 72. Now look at what you wanted to find out and look at what you got. You have this, which is just a part of what you wanted. You still have no idea about LW, right? And without that, you cannot get what you were trying to find out. So statement 1 is insufficient. So for the 7% people who marked A and 8% who marked D, so that's a total of 15% of you who thought that this first statement was sufficient. I hope you understand that it does not give us the area that we wanted. After this, let's all go into statement 2. Now, statement 2 says B, which is the bigger rectangle, can also be obtained if the longer side of A is increased by 80% and each of the shorter sides is increased by 100%. So the longer side, let's just take that to be L and the shorter to be W. It does not matter if you take the longer to be W and the shorter to be L, and just proceed with what you've taken. You will reach the same answer. For me, I am taking the longer one to be L, L for long. Now I am increasing the longer one by 80%. That leaves me with 1.8 L. Similarly, I'm increasing the shorter one, which is W, by 100%. That gives me 2W. Now, what am I really saying again? I'm saying that even when I do this, I'll still obtain the same big rectangle B. It says B can also be obtained if this happens, which means whether I do it this way and I get these dimensions, or I put the border and I get these dimensions, the rectangle is the same. Compare it now. 1.8 L, the length from here, and L plus 8, they are equal. That gives me the value of L. Similarly, 2W from here and W plus 8 from here are also equal. Put them equal, you get the value of W as 8. So that gives me the length and the width of the smaller rectangle. Now, the moment I have L and W, I just can put it here, no? L plus 8 times W plus 8, and this statement is sufficient. So B is the correct answer. Now, there were people who marked C and E. 16% plus 9%, 25% of you did not think that 2, statement 2 was sufficient alone, nor did you think, the people who marked C, nor did you think that even if we combine it with statement 1, will it become sufficient. There's huge conceptual gap or application gap there. You all need to be very, very careful when you're analyzing information. So only 34% of you got this perfectly correct. Tell me, where did you falter in this? I'm opening the chat box. No doubts here, please. The Q&A pod is for that. Tell me where you faltered now that we've gone over this solution. Couldn't understand statement 2. Yeah, it was where you had to think and use every word. Also be obtained, and then the percentage increase. Couldn't see the options. Oh, well, data sufficiency questions will always have the same choices. The order A, B, C, D, E is always the same. So I would suggest you memorize them from next time. For the next question, we will show you the choices just so that that does not become a reason for you getting this wrong. Okay, we don't need to calculate final L and W. No, we don't. We don't. But we have to understand that the only way to get L plus 8 and W plus 8 is if you could find it. So the moment you see that you have an equation such as this, from which you can get L, you can stop. You don't need the exact value. So many people are saying we didn't have the choices. So we'll give you the choices in the next question. Okay, most people say that. Okay, it's not written in statement 2 that B's sides will not be changed even after making changes in A side. Why would B's sides be changed? We're saying B can be obtained if you do certain things to A. B is what B is. Okay, cool. Let's all move to the next question now. Please mark still solving. All right, here's question number 2. Atreya, please bring in the choices here. Thank you. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, here we go. The majority, 48%, went with C, and C is the correct answer. No votes at all for A and B, which is good. So nobody thought these statements were sufficient alone, except 7% people who then thought both of them were individually sufficient. Other than that, the majority, 48 plus 27, a lot of you got to the stage that you realized we needed to combine the statements. So I am going to spend maximum effort on that final bit where we combine statements. But of course, we'll go over the whole thing. So trapezoid ABCD and so on. Let me just first get to the slide where I only see the question stem. All right, here you go. So you have a trapezoid ABCD of area 39 square inches, which is placed inside rectangle PQRS. So that's what you see here. PQRS is the rectangle, and inside it is the trapezoid, such that AB of the trapezoid is parallel to PQ of the rectangle. You can see this here. If AB is parallel to PQ, obviously it's also parallel to RS. Vertices A and B of the trapezoid are 1 inch away from each of the two nearest sides. We've seen things like this, but this time it's about A and B, which means on the left of A, 1 inch, below A, 1 inch. Similarly, below B, 1 inch, on the right of B, 1 inch. We have no idea about what happens to C and D and how far they are. When you read on though, you find out that C and D are 1 inch away from the nearest side. See how it did not say from each of the two nearest sides. So it's only about the one nearest side. And which is that? It's PQ. So this gap is 1 inch. I don't have any information about this region to the left of D and this to the right of C. And I want to find out the area of PQRS. So area of PQRS, I would need the length and the width and the whole thing. So in fact, the most of the question here was used only in drawing this figure out, in helping us visualize. We have something, yes, we have still to use the area of the trapezoid. That is the one bit we haven't used. And after that, it's straight about what I want to find out. So area of the trapezoid is what? Half times sum of parallel sides times height. So I'm showing the height here by this yellow line segment, and this area is given to us as 39. And the two parallel sides are AB and CD. So just AB plus CD times the height. There's too many unknowns here. I don't know AB, I don't know CD, I don't know H, I know none of these. And the goal for me is to find the area of the rectangle, which is PS times SR. PS times SR. Now see, this now feels as if I'm going all the more deeper into more and more and more variables, probably confusing myself. Think about it. Because the information I have is about the trapezoid, I'll try to express the area of the rectangle in terms of things from the trapezoid. For example, I can write down my PS as H plus 1 above it and plus 1 below it. So I'm just replacing PS by H plus 2. Similarly, my SR is nothing but AB plus 1 on its left and 1 on its right. So that's AB plus 2. Just see how I have the entire area of this new rectangle in terms of elements from the trapezoid. Now, as you see, I need H for this, I need AB for this, but this question stem alone is not capable of giving me all of that. So here we go to the first statement. Length of CD is 50% less than length of RS. So if RS is S, small s, then CD is 0.5s. So this gives me CD. But what do I do with CD? I don't get the height yet. I don't get AB yet. So still all of that unknown is there. But I still haven't used my question stem, remember. If I put CD equal to 0.5s in my question stem, let me see, is it helpful? No, it's still not. The unknowns are still three. I don't know AB, I don't know S, I don't know H. So I can't find what I wanted. And so statement one is insufficient, as all of you figured out. I'm sorry, except the people who marked D. So I hope you understand this now. Statement number two is very similar to statement number one. Instead of CD though, it tells you that AB is 20% less than RS. So if RS is small s, then AB is 0.8s. But this time, you know what? Before going to the question stem, there's something more that you can do, which is this. AB plus 1 on the left and 1 on the right becomes equal to RS, right? So 0.8S plus 2 is equal to S. And you solve this and get the value of S. So this gave you RS. Now remember the area we wanted to find out, PQRS, which was PS times RS. So I still have RS from it. I just got 10, but how do I get PS? I still have no information. But I have not used my question stem. Never forget to use the question stem. It happens a lot of times when statements themselves take a lot of effort. We forget to bring in what the question stem told us. So from the question stem, you had something that 78 is equal to AB plus CD times H. Put in the value of AB that you just found out, which was 8. But even now, you can't find H at all. And for the area that you were looking for, you needed both H and AB. So since you still don't have H, it's insufficient. Finally, when you take them together, this was almost done. So 28% who got this wrong probably did not do this very carefully because you had come a long, long way. So from statement 1, you got this. CD is 0.5s. And from statement 2, you got the very value of S as 10. So CD is equal to 5. Now put this in the question stem. AB is 8, which you found in statement 2. CD is 5, which you found now. The only unknown is H, which you can find out. And that's the only thing you were missing when you analyzed statement 2. So this is sufficient. Now I know this is a heavy question. It was hard. It could most likely be 750 level. This is why there was a lot that you had to do in this question, but I'm very happy that 53% of you got this correct. That means you were learning, you were doing the process well. Now here I am opening the chat box. Tell me how you feel about this. What happened? How did you solve this question? How confident do you feel now? What has changed now that we're done with the third sprint as well? How do we know AB will be longer? Because AB is just 20% less, while CD is 50% less. Though I answered it, it took some time. Yeah, it's okay. This can take time. This is a hard question. Statement is saying less than 50 and not 50. Yeah, it's 50% less than RS. So RS minus 50% of it. Okay, how do you decide which is the nearest side? Well, when you start drawing it, you would realize there's nothing for you to decide really, but because AB was the longer one, I made AB the longer one, CD the shorter one, and then naturally the two nearest sides, if it says, are the ones that are the closest to it. That's something you can see. Timing could be better. That's okay. That's okay. I feel you're making an assumption that a trapezium cannot be a rectangle. It cannot be. A trapezium has only one pair of opposite sides parallel, while a rectangle has both. It's not an assumption, it's a concept. It's great to be a part of this webinar. Learned a lot. Thank you so much. Everybody tell us how you liked the session. Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure doing this. Focus on learning and adopt the habits. Just learn things and use things the right way. Don't cut corners. How can we access the recording? You will get the recording. You will get it on your email. I think Rajat is going to email this to you tomorrow. Get it very soon. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. Here are some success stories to motivate you that you can do all of this. She went from a Q42 to a 49. Her background, very scared of quant. And we had people today who were scared of quant, right? So she's one of those. She came to us. She failed on the GMAT, but only because of quant. Verbal was 40 plus. What helped her? The new course. Our Quant 2.0, the latest version, the most updated course, it helped her build ability from the ground up. Today also, I try to give you concepts from the very, very basic stage. You get feedback at the right time, just as you got feedback today. That's very important. Unless you know where you're faltering, you would not know how to correct your mistakes. How much time would you suggest for this? Say around 3 minutes because it's a hard one, but not beyond that. You can save time on the medium level questions that you get on the exam. So there you don't spend 2 minutes every time. So whatever you save on medium questions, use them on hard. I'll keep taking questions as I show you success stories. Mark here got a Q49 on the first attempt. He was not from Quant, by the way, not a Quant background, and he was hovering around 41 in mocks. But then again, feedback that he got, just how you got it today. Where am I faltering? What am I doing wrong? That's the feedback that helped him. He built the right foundation. And today, you built a foundation. We've just shared the session presentation with you for your reference later on. Have a personalized study plan for yourself. Don't just work how everybody else is working. Thank you for all the thank yous. We're very happy to do this for you every weekend. Enjoyed the session. Thank you. Here's more. This is Anant. He got a 750 in 75 days. Doesn't that look beautiful? You can do it. Just focus on the right things. Focus on how to apply things. Learn concepts. Be 200% confident with them. Now, here are testimonials. You can read them when you get the recording. There are hundreds and thousands of people who are saying that this helped them. Trust the methodology, and you are going to get benefit from this. Ensure that you have 200% clarity in your concepts. Nothing less would work, by the way, because the GMAT is going to have a higher level application of these things, the concepts that you learned. As you saw today, right? The concepts we did were simple, but then the application was fancy. You need a lot of comfort with the concepts. Become an active reader of the question statement. Remember, so many of you wrote down, oh, I didn't read the question properly. This happened. No, that should not happen at all. Trust the test maker. He's not going to ask you things that you cannot solve at all. He's not going to give you logarithms, for example. That's not going to happen in the GMAT. I don't like geometry, but it's easier with you. Wow, thank you. You made my day. I look forward to more sessions now. Believe in your skills, everyone. You have everything in your arsenal to score any such problems. So, when you learned the concepts, maybe you didn't know them then, but then you applied them in the sprint. You have to have that comfort, learn things and take them with you. I hope all of you have all of this noted down. The takeaways from today, the mistakes that you were making. Some people were assuming stuff, some people were not reading the question carefully. Different people, different mistakes. Now, here are next steps for you. Review all the quadrilateral concepts in the free trial, the videos that we had sent to you earlier. Solve the questions in process files, learning activity, and solve geometry questions in Scholaranium, which is our question platform. All the questions are GMAT style questions, ready to give you as much insight into the GMAT as possible. All the very best for your exam. Very happy to conduct this session today. See you very soon in another session. Goodbye, everybody.